What's up, everybody? This is another edition of Game Night. This time I'm reviewing Daylight for the PS4 and the PC. Or it came out for the PS4 and the PC. I reviewed it on the PS4. Came out April 29th, 2014, so, not very long ago. The game, it has its ups and downs, mostly downs. You play as a girl, Sarah, who finds herself, she wakes up with her phone in her hand and a little mini map on it, an extremely unhelpful mini map that you can't zoom in or that you can't fully zoom in or out of, so you can't see the whole map all at once. Which is unhelpful. I think it kind of feels like the designers did that on purpose to bring up, to escalate the fear factor, but it really just makes the map, for the most part, like 90% of the time, pretty much useless. Again, yeah, you wake up as this girl named Sarah in an asylum, and this really sort of just irritating doctor named Dr. Mercer is talking to you on the other side of the phone, giving you these really vague clues about why you're there, because as Sarah, you don't remember why you're there or where you are necessarily, and you just basically have to find your way out. Um, it's a short game, luckily. It's only about 2 hours, maybe even less if you can figure, if you can, yeah, find your way. But that's another thing. I mean, while there are some genuine scares, mostly in the form of jump scares, just because, um, well, there are some genuine scares. You know, the game plays with like light and hence the name Daylight. And also, the title also has to do with the fact that your one and literally only enemy in the entire game are these witches that basically are souls of witches. I don't know. It's kind of, they really do leave everything really just not. They leave it ambiguous and not in a good, like, I want to know what's gonna happen kind of way. More in just an annoying, just tell me what the hell's going on kind of way. Yeah, so the one and only enemy are these witches that, basically your phone will start wigging out. Your phone in the game will start wigging out, and you'll hear screams and stuff, and you'll turn around, and a witch will be behind you. And that's pretty much the same. That's the gimmick throughout the entire game. And it definitely, the first few times it made me yelp out loud. I'm not gonna lie. This game does have a few genuine jump scares. Just jump scares though, nothing really else. Um, well, that's not true. I mean, they really do play really nicely on the feeling of always feeling as if there's something behind you, whether there is or there isn't, and the sound is actually terrific. The sound is probably the best part of the game. It's it's very unnerving, whether it's water sloshing around, screaming in the distance, the unnatural creaks and groans of the asylum and the buildings that you go through. I was a little disappointed that you didn't see. Definitely, like I said, the variety of enemies is limited to one. Just the witches. They don't look any different. There's no variety between them, or they literally, it's just the same exact you know design of which every single time, and that was a little disappointing, or it was very disappointing, especially because some of the other events in the games, it seems like there's going to be other enemies, but there never are. And speaking of levels, the level design, the level design is just, it's maddeningly frustrating. There's definitely no waypoint or objective marker on the mini map or anything or anywhere, which is, in a game like this, it's not. Wouldn't necessarily expect it to be. The only problem is that the level design. I mean, the level design is just, it's awful. Everything looks the same. All the different corridors of hallways and sewer systems, all the different levels you go through, they really just look the same. And sometimes you'll just run for long periods of time in the same direction, and it's just literally the same thing again and again. I mean, I was lost all the time, basically. So that's why the game could either take you 2 hours or it could take you an hour. Like, it's a super short game, but if you're like me and you don't know where you're going, I have a pretty good sense of direction, but I could not find my way through a lot of the times, and that was really irritating. It's just like I said, I was lost all the time. The most terrifying most terrifying element about this game, without a doubt, is just the maze-like level design. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the levels, they're not great. There's not a lot of variation of architecture or anything like that either. And the twist at the end of the game is pretty lame, and honestly, I didn't really care at that point. I was kind of just like, in the game, ended. I'm done with it. It's one of those one and done. I'm not going to come back to the game anytime soon. Or, I mean, ever, really. But yeah, I mean, there's also notes that you pick up, which are, again, very ominous, very ambiguous. Um, and they don't really you get a sense of what's going on because there are notes about the hospital and the surrounding areas, about the patients, and about Sarah as well. But honestly, like the twist at the end, I really just stopped caring about the notes after collecting the first like 50 of them or however many there are. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of well, oh yeah. I mean, okay, it's called Daylight for a couple reasons that I've already mentioned, but the game does play with light, and the lighting's not bad. It is the first game powered by Unreal Engine 4. A little disappointing that this is the first game, but hey, there'll be others, and this kind of. Anyway, the lighting is basically everything's really dark. It's really hard to see. You have a small there's some you know illumination coming off of your phone, but there's not much. It's really like you constantly just running into the darkness, and that's another potential scare factor for people. And you basically find glow sticks, which just somewhat, very very slightly illuminate the area around you so you can see. But then you also find flares, which are pretty much they basically double as a much better light source than the glow sticks, but also um, they whenever you turn around and there's a witch behind you, it instantly burns the witch's spirit up or whatever it is, and it basically doubles as a weapon, which is. And I don't mean in a melee way. I just mean strictly with light. There are like Outlast. There are no weapons in this game. You can't defend yourself at all except with the flares. There's no meleeing, nothing. And that makes you feel vulnerable too. And that's actually one of the other very few scare factors in the game is the feeling of always feeling vulnerable. When that glow stick goes out or when that flare goes out, assuming you have another flare or glow stick, because sometimes you do run out, so you got to make sure you're well stocked. But once that glow stick or that flare goes out, and it takes 5, 6, 7 seconds for you to light up the next flare or glow stick. So you're in that darkness and everything's still, and that's actually pretty uncomfortable. It makes it pretty tense because not only do you not want anything to attack you in the darkness, but you're not sure what you're going to see or if there's going to be a witch next to you or behind you or in front of you, right up against you when you light that flare back up. So that was done well. I think that's pretty much it. That was Daylight, PS4. I reviewed it on the PS4. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Honestly, wouldn't recommend it if you're a huge horror fan. Even still, I'd probably just stay away from it. But yeah, that's Daylight. This has been Game Night. I'm Apollo Wilson, and I will see you guys next week. Or next time, not next week.